Hello friends and welcome back to another Magic Monday. Didn't really get any feedback on last week's episode, so I'm not sure if you guys liked that format or not, so we're going back to what I had done before. Today we're looking at a deck called Cheat to Win with the Infamous Cruelclaw, a 3-mana cast 3/3 Weasel Mercenary with Menace. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player, exile all cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Cheat to win, we're cheating out big creatures, basically. 21 creatures, 37 non-creatures, average mana cost of 4.5, a little bit heavier black than red. Of those 21 creatures, we have a couple of dragons, we have a couple of Eldrazzis, we have a horror, we got all sorts of fun stuff. 2 instants, 1 sorcery, 26 artifacts, 10 enchantments, including a curse, and 3 planeswalkers. So what do we got? We got mana rocks, of course. I'm going to skip over those. Bag of Holding, whenever you discard a card, exile it from your graveyard, pay 2 mana, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. Or 4 mana, tap, sacrifice Bag of Holding, return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. Really nice in a discard deck. Gixian Recycler, whenever it dies or is put into a graveyard from your hand or library, conjure a card named Gixian Recycler into your graveyard. He's here just to discard. Shredded Sails for some removal, Zephyr Boots to give the Cruelclaw flying, or just discard it if we don't need it. Mana Rock here. This guy, whenever you discard a card, you may exile it from your graveyard. If you do, you may play it this turn. That can be really handy. So that's kind of as a counterpoint to Bag of Holding. But this is sort of a fun thing because you can discard something as your penalty, but then play it anyway. Mana Rock here. Protect the Cruelclaw with Hexproof. Same idea. If we can give the Cruelclaw plus 3/1 and flying, then he's a 6/4 with flying and menace. A lot harder to block. We get to hit with him more often. Exploiting the discard mechanic. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token once per turn. Not super amazing, but can be very helpful. We got draw power here. We got Brass's Tunnel Grinder here. When it enters, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards, +1. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a boar counter on it. If there are 3 or more boar counters, remove it and transform it into a legendary cave that taps to add red. And whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana produced by this, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. So that can be really helpful to cheat out more things, hence the title of this deck. Just like Demonic Embrace, we have Draconic Destiny to give it flying and haste if need be, but mostly the flying just to make it harder to block. Dragon Engines here pretty much as a discard. And then we can bring him back with the Unearth ability if we have Mishra out, who's a little bit later in this deck, so we can make the Mishra Lost to Phyrexia legendary artifact creature. Mana Rock. Oh, you're discarding lands? You can play them from your graveyard anyway. Non-artifact spells you control have Improvise, which is handy, though not critical, but it's handy. Mithril Coat to make the Cruelclaw indestructible. Man, that was a hard sentence to say. Mana Rock, Mana Rock. Color Hosing Swords right here, because I love those. This guy, not critical. It has haste, and she conjures a duplicate of another target non-token creature or artifact you control into your graveyard with Unearth red 1. It can be a game-ending card, let's be honest, because with some of the stuff that we have in this deck, for 2 mana you can put out a 1-turn card and have an additional 7 damage from the air in a dragon or whatever. But it's not the most critical card in the deck. I just put it in here to kind of mix things up a bit. Unexpected Windfall, so we can have some more draw power or just discard this as a Cruelclaw penalty. Here is the other part of Mishra, which is cool. The 1 ring because draw power. And now we get into enchantments, because I really like some of the black enchantments. Exquisite Blood lets us gain life. Painful Quandary costs our opponent life unless they discard. Combining those two, really cool. Gix's command with some variety. We can either put 1/1 counters on something and gain lifelink until end of turn, destroy each creature with power 2 or less, really handy against those Scoot Swarm decks. Return up to two creatures cards from your graveyard to your hand, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. So depending on the deck you're facing, you could choose number 2 and number 4, and you could like board wipe your opponent. Lily the Necromancer to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand with the -1 ability mostly. Painful Quadri we already talked about. Sheoldred, because he's powerful. She's powerful. And has menace. And makes our opponent sacrifice a creature. And we can transform it. Just super handy. Westgate Regent, which is a good card. Witch King, a good card. Perforos, good card. So now we're just getting into like, oh, here's all the heavy stuff that makes you win the game. Terror of the Peaks, Urabrask, Mishra, so that permanents you control have wards sacrifice a permanent, which is really cool. I like this card because when it enters, you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. So we can cheat out stuff that we discard with Rakdos joins up, and then whenever a legendary creature you control dies, this enchantment deals damage equal to that creature's power to target opponent. So we discard something stupid big, and then we just pay 5 to bring it back with an additional 2 1/1 counters. Mightstone and Weakstone's here, mostly for the removal ability of when it enters, and then we can, I mean, there are a lot of artifacts, so tapping to add 2 colorless for artifact spells can be handy, but it's not the most critical card in the deck. Other Lily lets us draw a bunch, lets us control the board a lot. Just a great card. I really like this Crocodile because it adds Stab Wound to each creature your opponents control. So each creature your opponents control gets an enchantment with -2/-2, and they lose 2 life at the beginning of their upkeep. Awesome. Vein Ripper, another super powerful card. Ancient Copper Dragon. We make a bunch of treasure tokens, and then we can actually pay for the things instead of discarding for them. Chandra Awakened Inferno, especially that -3 is a great board wipe. Then we actually have Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. 6 mana for a 6/6 with flying and trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. Just fantastic. The Inner Sun lets us discover 5 at the beginning of our end step every single turn. Ancient Brass Dragon lets us return stuff that we've discarded to the battlefield, which is really broken. Cruel Reality, this goes great with Painful Quandary and that other one, Exquisite whatever. What is it called? Exquisite Blood? Exquisite Blood, yeah. You get all 3 of those enchantments out, you win, basically. Because at the beginning of Enchanted Player's upkeep, they sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, and if they can't, they lose 5 life. So they lose 5 life, and you gain 5 life if you have Exquisite Blood out. And then if they cast a spell, they'll have to discard something or lose another 5 life because of Painful Quandary. I love the black enchantments. Flesh Gorger because it's big and has lifelink and menace and ward, and it's all sorts of fun. Sheoldred Whispering One, 6/6 that lets us bring stuff back from our graveyard, especially handy in a discard deck. Captive Audience, I don't normally use this, but it really messes with your opponent. If you don't know the card, it does a lot of things, but it's your opponent's choice in which order they want to die. Chroma's Memorial to give creatures all sorts of fun stuff. Portal to Phyrexia because it's expensive and powerful. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger because getting this guy out on turn 4 at the cost of discarding, I don't know, Gix's Command and putting out Ulamog on turn 4, pretty amazing. And Emrakul, the Promised End, 13/13 flying, trample, protection from instants. Crazy. And then we got a bunch of lands. Cabal Stronghold, Castle Lochthwain, Phyrexian Tower, blah, 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 blah. That's the deck, guys. It's super fun to play. It definitely needs to get Cruelclaw out early, and if you're facing a removal deck, that's the biggest weakness. Like a black with a lot of destroy target creature, destroy target creature, destroy target creature gets annoying. But if you get a chance to attack with Cruelclaw twice, statistically, you're going to get something really powerful out, and then the game and the deck just start rolling. So all that being said, we're going to jump to some games. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, even a subscription to this channel. I'm putting out content every single day, and I'm doing it for you. So you should subscribe to say thanks, or just to hang out with me, whatever. As always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. We will get to some games, and we will see you in the next episode.